Hi, I'm Patrick Dangle. At a recent educational program at the Ohio State University South Centers, we held a HOPS conference in which we interviewed Amanda Hill with Groundwork, who talks about hops in an agricultural setting. Here's Amanda. We are here at the Ohio State University South Centers, specifically at the HOPS Conference and Trade Show. There are a number of vendors, interested farmers, growers, special speakers, and many others that are involved with our trade program. Today we have Amanda Hill. She's the assistant to sales and research support with the Groundwork. And it's our pleasure to have you featured on the program.
My pleasure to be here.
So Amanda, tell us a little bit about what Groundwork is and does.
Groundwork BioAg is a company from Israel, and we are here to promote a product called, it's with mycorrhizal fungi, and it's for farmers, and we put it on as a seed treatment.
Very good.
As an inoculant to help promote yields and soil health and plant health.
You know, we've had several of our researchers go to Israel and take a look at the horticulture, and they just came back amazed because there's limited space.
Yes.
And so they have to maximize that space. And, you know, this might be where Groundworks.
Yes. And over there with their ground, it's dry.
Yeah.
So that's what mycorrhiza does.
Very good. Very good. So it's very important for
The soil. It grabs all the nutrients it can out of the soil.
That's right. And so we have a number of different farmers that are interested in looking at hops as a value-added crop. What's your opinion? What do you think? Why is it important for farmers to?
Hops is very important in our region, especially because in the eastern United States we don't have as many hop farmers as in the western United States. So it's very important that we promote that and get more farmers.
Very good. I tend to agree with you that if you have to ship in, it's more expensive.
Yes, it is.
Very good. How about some words of wisdom that you would like to give to our listening audience?
To those interested in hop farming, they need to take into account that it is very expensive and it is very time consuming. So if you're very interested, you need to be prepared.
That's true.
For the economic and time consuming efforts.
That is true. Hey, we're talking with Amanda Hill. Amanda Hill is the Assistant Sales and Research Support with Groundwork. Amanda, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Hello, welcome to our OSU Ryle live streaming Thursday telecast. I'm Patrick Dangle, Executive Producer of Telecast Programming at the Ohio State University South Centers. We are at the South Centers, collaborate with the University of Rio Grande and Rio Grande Community College to promote small businesses, educational programs, students, faculty, business organizations, and of course, agricultural programs. Over 110,000 viewers and listeners have tuned in to our different telecasts, which encompasses 178 countries. This week's theme is Extension Programs at The Ohio State University, and more importantly, how these telecasts assist the people we serve. This program is ASL Chat with host Emily Wickham. She's the Student Services Coordinator with the Ohio State University Department of Agriculture, Education, and Leadership. And this week she features Justin Bauer, a graduating senior in community leadership with the ultimate goal of being an extension educator. So welcome, Emily and Justin.
Thank you, Patrick.
Thank you.
I think it's always really great when we have, 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks before you graduate?
Like 10 days?
Yeah, 10 days as of today. We started our countdown.
Sort of remember, I had it down to the hours. So Emily, let's talk about Justin.
All right. Well, Justin Like you mentioned, Justin is a senior in community leadership, and that's a major name that maybe a lot of people don't know about. So we're going to talk a little bit about the community leadership major, and what you study, and also what you can do with that after graduation. But first, Justin, I just want you to introduce yourself to everybody. Tell them a little bit about yourself and how you got to Ohio State.
Yeah, so again, I'm a senior here, graduating in 10 days, super excited. But I grew up in a small town. I grew up with about 1,400 people in a little town called Arlington, Ohio, south of Findlay, Ohio. I grew up on a dairy farm, but we transitioned to a grain farm when I was young. But I definitely grew up in the agricultural world and never thought that 4-H and extension would be the path I'd take. But my senior year of high school, I did a lot of soul searching, and I really came to a decision that I wanted to impact the next generation and the youth of tomorrow. And because of that, there was no other avenue that really drove me besides 4-H. I've been involved in 4-H for a long time. Because of that transition with our farms, I had to get creative with some of the projects I took. So I did a lot of public speaking, citizenship projects, did arts and mechanics, but also dairy cows, and some horticulture and gardening projects as well. So I have a wide range when it came to my history of 4-H. But as I grew up, I got very passionate about it. I've been the president of the Collegiate 4-H Club here at The Ohio State University for the past 2 years. I just turned over my officer position just about a month ago. So it's been exciting to see that grow. But ever since deciding to make 4-H my goal and extension, there was no other choice but to come to The Ohio State University. 4-H is founded here in Ohio. We have a deep, rich history with extension, and this college, specifically even this department, has a really rich history of producing and creating amazing 4-H educators and extension educators who impact not only their communities, but individuals at a very personal level within every county of Ohio and within every state in the country, and then within 72 different countries. So it's a super exciting program that I don't think a lot of people are aware of, and the impact you can have. It just happens to be that my passion is youth. So, yeah.
So let me ask you this, Emily. In the coursework that individuals like Justin undertake, how does that help them to prepare for being an extension educator?
So Justin's specialization of the community leadership major is community and extension education. So that specialization is kind of created specifically for those that want to go into non-formal education like extension. And so I'll let Justin talk a little bit about the coursework that he took, and how he will be able to apply that into his profession one day.
Yeah, so a lot of classes we take are so one class I'm in this semester is called community development. And so that literally is looking at a community and where it currently stands, seeing its needs, maybe the areas that need to be finessed. We talk about the 7 community capitals, those types of things. So it's important to kind of get an idea of what in your community, what in your county should you work on. So for example, some counties struggle more with drug addictions, or they could struggle more with poverty or food deserts or whatever, and how can we as educators help in those areas. But also we take classes on non-formal education. So you're set up in an outside classroom on a sheep farm, and you have third graders to teach about how we use sheep in agriculture, and you've got an hour to do it. How are you going to do it? Go! So very much so this educational aspect of what are your goals, what are your objectives, and how can you more so go to the people and teach them where they're at than bringing them to an institution or something and trying to cultivate their knowledge from there. But a lot of the classes are based around that community development or that non-formal education piece. So how can we take those two, combine them, and impact communities throughout extension and 4-H? So
I think that's very, very good. One of the things that I'm very impressed, the individuals that Emily you have brought on, as well as Justin, you're very comfortable in speaking in front of groups. And I would imagine that in some of those courseworks, the ability to be able to speak in front of those groups is extremely important. And it sounds like maybe you've been given a lot of opportunity to do so.
So part of the community leadership major, so all students in our college are required to do an internship, and then also they have what's called early field experience. So that's something that they do at the end of their freshman year of college, just to get that, like that introduction into extensions. So Justin, will you tell us a little bit about your early field experience? And now Justin has a little bit of a unique story because he did not start college as a community leadership major. And I think that's something that would be important to clear up. Justin started as an agri-science education major, and I think I've mentioned this before, but before Ohio State switched to semesters in 2012, that's when the community leadership major was kind of created or introduced, and so it gave it a new name, but in reality it had always been around. It was just a specialization of the major, agricultural and extension education. So Justin was actually just telling me yesterday that when he started, he was an agri-science education student, and I remember him being that, but he always said he wanted to go into 4-H and not to the classroom, and I remember kind of like wondering why he wasn't majoring in community leadership. But, he was talking about how, when he wanted to go into work in 4-H and extension, and he spoke with people that currently had those jobs, they shared that they had studied agricultural education in college. And at the time, when they would have been students here, it was agricultural education with a specialization in extension. So when he then came to Ohio State and realized, like, oh, there's this whole separate major for extension education that I need to be a part of, like, that's really where I fit, then he changed over. So your early field experience, was it with extension or was it in a classroom?
It was in a formal classroom.
Okay.
But my internship was both at the state 4-H level and at the county 4-H level. So I interned here with Franklin County 4-H, and then I interned at the state 4-H office with camping and older youth with Hannah Epley. And so I've been part of camping and older youth. Even before I did my internship, I worked at state camps, have been staff member at multiple county camps around the state. And so I love camp because it's an opportunity to take youth out of their comfort zone, put them in a new area, and really capitalize on that growth and that ability to really hone in on what we can learn outside of a classroom setting. So I last year interned a large part of leadership camp. So I 4-H leadership camp, and so there's 16 to 18-year-olds all around the state of Ohio who come to that. We had about 93, I think, last year campers, and we talk about different pillars of leadership. In fact, this year I'm coming back as an instructor, so I will be teaching a motivation class for 3 hours, and how motivation builds into being a leader, and how we're not only in charge of motivating ourselves, but motivating the people we're leading as well. So last year I helped a lot of that coordination. I did some of the training for the counselors, those types of opportunities. And then at the Franklin County 4-H level, I worked with their camp counselors as well for their 4-H camp. And then I also worked at their county fair. So I coordinated some judging, some miscellaneous judgings. I was also a judge in some circumstances in which they didn't have a judge and needed someone on retainer. And then I also helped out with just the flow for the junior fair board at the Franklin County Fair, and assisted in different ways that I could. So.
Oh, that is very good. You had mentioned that you came from a small town.
Correct.
Arlington, which is up in the northwestern part of Ohio. Is that correct?
Yes.
What was it like to come to a large university?
Yeah, that's a great question. I actually, Emily loves me to talk about that with potential students. I actually, for my first year, went to OSU Lima, which is a lot smaller than the Columbus campus. It's only 2 buildings, so you can't get confused. But after that, I was extremely cautious of coming down here to Columbus. I was not excited. I wasn't looking forward to it. In fact, Emily had Facebook messaged me, and I was very upfront with her because I don't think I really knew that she worked for the university. And so I was like, I'm not excited about coming down. But now I am so glad I have, and I so love Columbus, not just OSU campus, but the Columbus area and everything it offers too. So it was definitely a hard transition, but I think what my encouragement to students coming to any sort of large college or university would be to really find that community that cares about you. And so I say that because there's different ways of doing that. That could be between clubs and organizations. That could be between honoraries, fraternities, sororities, a local religious organization, or whatever. But I really encourage freshmen who are coming in to find that community that cares about you for what you're passionate about and what you want to do. Because I think right at the beginning, I wanted to join everything and do everything, which is a great a sign of encouragement and passion, but it really helped once I started to tone that down and find the true group that wanted to support me. And then all of a sudden, here I am my senior year, and I can't walk around all of campus without running into at least 5 people I know a day. And that's not even just in the ag college. That's in Central Campus, and just walking around seeing people that I know in other colleges and other parts of OSU. So my biggest thing is to form that community and really just get to find people who just want to support you for what you want to do. So,
You know, one of the nice things that Emily's involved with is not just bringing students on, but also providing mentorships. Is that correct? And individuals. Want to talk a little bit, Emily, about how you help to support the students while they're in their program.
Oh gosh.
Where do you start?
Yeah. So I guess part of my job is it falls under the word retention, which I think sometimes sounds a little businessy. We just want you to stay here and graduate in 4 years so it looks good for us. And that's not really what I think that should mean. I think in retention, I look at it as what can we do for you while you're here? So recruitment would be obviously, recruiting students to come join our department and major in something that we have. But then once they're here, to make sure that their needs are met, that they are enjoying their time here. Because I don't want them to just feel like they got all this attention to get them here, and then once they're in the door, I don't care about them anymore, because that's not true. So some of the more formal things that we do here as a department, obviously internships are a big thing. So that's required by all students in the college. So especially that's a requirement, all the students in our department. So helping them find internships is something that they are passionate about. So, for one student that's in AgCom, that might be a graphic design internship with a dairy cattle magazine. But for the AgCom student that sits next to them, that might be a sales and marketing job in something not even related to agriculture. So it's all about we really want to make sure that they get the most out of their experiences. So finding internships, letting them know about that, encouraging them to interview for internships or apply. I guess the first step would be to apply for an internship, even if they think that they have no shot at it. So we have a student that just recently was given, she interviewed and was offered an internship with COSI. And that, I think, is just so exciting. One, she's so excited about it. I think I might be more excited about it than she is, because I think, working for an organization like COSI, that's just such a well-known place around Ohio. And so I remember when she was she applied, and that was something that I think I had included in one of my newsletters that I sent out. And then she was super excited about the phone interview. And then she got the in-person interview, and they asked her to teach a 5-minute lesson, because this is like an outreach education internship. So she's going to have to be teaching stuff. And so we worked together to come up with an activity that she could teach that she knew a lot about. So she felt comfortable teaching these individuals in a little classroom setting, because we didn't want her to be teaching something that she wasn't actually interested in, or wasn't passionate about, or didn't have any like background knowledge if they asked questions. And so I thought that was a fun part of my job, is like to sit and talk about different little, and she taught a welding lesson. Huh. And, she knew how to weld. She had learned about it when she was in her high school FFA program. And so she had all that knowledge. And so to see her like really be excited about that, and then go to the interview, and then come back and tell me how well it went, and then follow up with a call of like, I got the job, like I'm going to be working at COSI this summer. Like, that was exciting for her, but like it was also exciting for me to see her excitement. So I hopefully will be making a lot of trips to COSI this summer with her.
Good.
But yeah, just working with students and seeing them, like helping them find their potential, and maybe that's encouraging them to join a student organization, or take a study abroad trip that they wouldn't normally do. Just so that they get the most out of their college experience, and don't look back and say like, well, nobody really cared about me and I didn't get anything out of it. So
I understand. And again, Justin, what was the best internship you undertook?
I'd have to say working at the state 4-H level with the camping and older youth was probably my favorite experience, because when you get people from all over the state, you get people from very different backgrounds. A state 4-H camp is very different than a county 4-H camp. So specifically leadership camp, where we're not really teaching them a certain skill or whatever, we're teaching them about them. So it's a lot of self-actualization and self-reflection. And so it's really cool to watch these kids in the matter of like 5 days really start to understand how they can be leaders, how they can feel more confident in themselves, or where they see their weaknesses, or how they build a team around themselves, those types of things. That's just an amazing experience. I love that camp so much, because literally from the beginning of it to the end of it, you see kids flourish. And sometimes for them to flourish, they got to break down a little bit so they can be reborn and rebuilt. And so watching these kids wrestle and fight and try to really engage with their inner self is just extremely exciting to see what's going to happen by the end of the week. So
that's fantastic. If you had a number of different freshmen coming in, what kinds of words of wisdom would you give to them, and hopefully they would follow?
Myself? Yeah.
Yes.
I think, again, I'll go back to that community piece. That was extremely important for me here once I came down, was just to find a group of people who care about you. But then also my other things to point out would be, don't be afraid of voicing what you want and what you plan to get out of your college experience, and then going for it. And then also be open to ideas you weren't so sure of. So, for example, I'm in a fraternity now, and that was an idea I was not so sure of, but I'm so glad that I had that opportunity. Studying abroad, that was an amazing experience that I never thought I would do in my college career. And then also just being aware of the many, many opportunities we have to learn, not within the classroom, but even outside of the classroom. So being the president of Collegiate 4-H, I've learned a lot about how to manage a program and how to make sure that the face of a program is properly seen within the college, within 4-H, within the university, and how do we get recognized for that? How do we prove our existence and our value and the impact we have? So evaluation and those types of things. But I think my biggest encouragement for incoming freshmen would be, one, find that community, 2, be open to new ideas, and 3, be confident in the path you want to travel. And that doesn't mean you have to know this is what I want to major in and this is what I want to go in, but mostly I think most individuals coming into college have a good idea of what kind of path they want to go on, or maybe some goals they have or they want to achieve, and then be upfront and honest about those. And our job as jobs for faculty and staff, and when I'm a grad student TAing a class, my job will be finding that goal and that passion and helping them reach there and take one more step towards that goal. So we are not here to fail you. That is not what college is meant for. We're here to help you find like what you're passionate about and what you want to do. So be honest with your professors, create relationships with them too. So because they are people just like anyone else. So they want to hear about your life and want to hear about what you're doing too. So
You're right. Emily, we only have 2.5 minutes left. How about words of wisdom from you?
Oh gosh, I would kind of echo everything that Justin said about getting involved and finding that whatever group it is that you are interested and passionate about, and then really jumping into it. I would also recommend forming relationships, and Justin touched on this, but like with your faculty advisors. So, we have students that have our faculty members, their phone numbers, and they can text them at any time and pop in and ask questions. And I feel like those are the students that at the end of their 4 years, like they felt like they took advantage of everything that they could. And then we have students that will see their advisor like on the very first day they're here as a freshman, and then not again until there's a problem. And so I think staying in touch with your advisor, if that's when you're in the building, just popping in to say hello, or, asking them questions like as you're scheduling classes or as you're looking for internships, just kind of create that communication and that relationship, and like keep it open, because you kind of have to remember that, a faculty member might have 50 students that they're advising, but you only have, most cases, you only have one advisor. So for you to kind of reach out to them as well, I mean, they also, reach out to you, but I guess I just feel like I have closer relationships and know more about our students and am able to help when I also feel that like mutual, interest. Yeah, that is reciprocation. Is like, I can reach out to students a million times and never get a response back. And so I don't know what that student needs. And maybe they need help finding an internship. Maybe they're like going through a really bad time and need another kind of help. But yeah, just keep that open and express your concerns and ask for help when you need it. A lot of things that I've come in contact with in the last semester.
I think
and especially as the semester is wrapping up and we have students that want to graduate but never visited their advisor, and now they're like not going to graduate. So stay on top of that.
Well, again, Emily, I want to thank you. I know you're going to be off the next couple of months, but we really appreciate the work that you do, and to you, Justin, congratulations again.
thank you.
It is a pleasure talking with both of you, and I want to again, we're talking with Emily Wickham. Emily is a student services coordinator with the ASIL program at The Ohio State University, and we have Justin Bauer, who is a graduating senior. I'm Patrick. Thank you for listening.